Lep pozdrav, dober dan, moje ime je Vesna Hodnik, nahajam se v Celovcu, but we will continue now in English because this is a meeting for everybody around the world who will listen to us, who is now present with us and who will join us later. So I have been invited to moderate 6 interviews in 2022 for Slovenian Global Business Network. It's a great privilege to interview amazing Slovenian women who live around the globe. So the Slovenian Global Business stands for connecting and building business partnership among Slovenes around the world. And there is many of us around the world, and that's why it's not difficult to find really good speakers and really good guests who I will host this year. So I have named this 6 interviews I will do in this year, Walk the Talk. Why I like this expression very much, because all these great minds, all these great women who are my hosts, who are my guests and will be my guests in the future, are amazing women, great leaders, and they are great doers. It means they have put the word into action, showing that they mean what they say and they are actively doing it, because this is quite rare. This is not like a common thing. So they are leading by example and have stepped out of the box. So that's why we are having these great guests from around the world. So thank you again for my today's guests. They're Ladea and Leila. I will call you by your names. We have some history together. With Ladea, we know each other since, well, some years, so let's say Ladea. And I have a great story with Leila. We haven't met in person, but I saw Leila talking on national TV about sustainability, the transition, circular economy, sustainability, and I loved her. I Googled her, immediately LinkedIn her, and I sent her a message. Can we please talk? I would like to meet you in person. So we had this great chat over LinkedIn, like an hour. We've discussed different topics because I'm really keen of doing sustainability projects in the future in this region. And Leila was really great in giving me some insights and puts. So it was amazing. So thank you, Leila, again for this, for coming. And Ladea, of course, with you, we did a great conference 2 years ago, just before Corona started, on circular economy in this region. I guess this was one of the first conferences like this in the region, and especially in Carinthia, about the circular economy, sustainability, and how can we make the change. So today I want to be a bit provocative. I don't want to hear like, some facts and figures and what to think, but I really want to see how you think. How do you see these changes? And do we have a clear vision? We have the right values? I mean, do we say no if we see that the things are going into the wrong direction? Are we allowed to say no? And I will also would like to talk with you about the new jobs that are coming. I was just in Podium now for today's, and we were discussing about the startups, the new ideas, and so on, and that AI will take over the world and the robots and everything, which is of course not the truth. What about the green economy? What kind of jobs are can we look forward to, or not look forward to? And the fact is that we learn differently. So some like to learn the way that they go to the university, some like to do a PhD degree, some just like to listen to the different workshops and so on. So we have also a different way how we learn. So this is just for my cue before we start. And I would just like to read something about Ladea and something about Leila, some facts so that we know about facts about you two. So Dr. Leila Melon is a former Marie Curie Research Fellow at the Pompeu Fabra University in Barcelona. And in the 2021, so Emerging Sustainability Leader Awardee, congratulations, has a legal and economical background. Currently, the Executive Director of the Planetary Wellbeing Institutional Framework at the Pompeu Fabra University, and the Academic Director and the Professor of the Postgraduate Program Sustainability, Transition Management and Climate Emergency at the ESCE. You will help me with this, Leila. So she's specialized in EU law with a main focus on corporate conduct and sustainability, on which she published also a book. And Ladea, on the other side, is an internationally renewed circular economy expert, speaker and moderator, founder and CEO of Circular Change co-chair of the European Circular Economy Stakeholder Platform, and a co-leader of the research group Circular Economy Systems at the Berta Lemke Center, did I read said correctly, for the studies of system science in Vienna. Ladea is a co-author of the roadmap toward the circular economy in Slovenia, Serbia, Montenegro, and Chile. She was the finalist of the Circular Leadership Award, congratulations, and is featured as EU Woman for Future by the EU Commission. Congratulations to both of you for these amazing achievements. They sound so complex, but maybe can we just start with you, Leila? What are you doing at this moment? Because you do so many things, so we cannot focus on all of the aspects you cover, but maybe just on what are you currently working at?
I think that's the most complex question you can actually ask me. Sorry for that. What am I not doing right now?
What are you not doing?
So my main focus, to be completely honest, is I'm trying to be the bridge between the practice and academia. So I've been in the academic world for quite some time. I did quite some consulting jobs also at the side, trying to help the companies to figure out this transition. Now, what I would love to do is actually bridge the difference and try to translate what academia has been saying for years and put it into practice literally in the companies. So the companies are now struggling with the transition that's coming due to laws. So you have forward-looking companies who are already doing it on their own. But unfortunately, of course, the majority of them is just trying to survive in the current economic system. Hence, the transition comes because of the new rules of the game, and nobody understands how to use them. So what I'm trying to do right now is to kind of use what we were doing and what we are doing in terms of transitioning towards sustainability in the organization as university as an organization, and put those things in practice with the knowledge of law that I have for the companies in question, to try to help them now how to bridge those things. That's why I told you that I can't actually tell you what I'm doing, because I'm all over the place right now, because transition is pretty messy, right? It's beautiful and it's a great opportunity, but it's not a created system that you can just follow the lines and say, we know exactly what we're doing. We're trying to figure out how to do it efficiently and actually have some impact. But we do that more or less as we go. So that's why the thing is so complex.
It sounds complex. So Ladea, what do you do at this moment? Because you also do like a million things. I follow you.
A lot of things. Yes, we are jungling. Yeah, today I just came back from the workshop that has been organized by Climate Kick here in Ljubljana, because Slovenia is now the deep demonstration project, or the country that is really approaching circular economy. And one of the questions at the beginning of that workshop was, how would you introduce yourself? And I was wondering, and I thought, oh, I am work in progress.
Okay.
That is who I am. Because all the time I'm learning something new, and the more you know, in a way, more you understand how complex and interdependent things are, and that you cannot have all the answers. What should not be frustrating, but on the other hand, it should be encouraging. So I'm really trying with our Circular Change organization, as well as with all other partnerships, to bring circular economy into practice, because there is a lot of talk about that. And I like the title of this discussion, Walk the Talk. But I think it's important that every single person understands what is in it for me. If you're a citizen, if you're a CEO, if you are a teacher, if you're a scientist, so we should know what is it all about. And underlined, it is about maintaining good life. So in this context, then I work with the governments. Now we are just in the process on Kosovo, making and co-creating the circular economy roadmap for them. On the other hand, we are also bridging the science and business sector under one project that is called Impact. Then we are just preparing the workshops here in Ljubljana for one very interesting project, European one, PC Lifestyle for Sustainable Lifestyle. So how to really introduce that to citizens. Then I must say that the book has been published finally, the one to which I contributed in Japan, Kyoto Manifesto for Global Economics. So a lot of things are going on in different segments. And I really appreciate that I have this privilege actually to be a part of all these different, let's say, stakeholder groups and being a kind of orchestrator. So that's what I do. And it's hard to explain, as Leila said.
Yeah. I mean, it's even hard to prepare for such a conversation because you're so I mean, you cover so many areas, but I would like to ask you something. The title is How Green Can the Apples Be? This was just my intuition, and why? Because I think there is this gap between what we think we should do and what we read and what we hear about. So we say we hear sustainability at least once a day, or I mean, we are constantly in contact with this term, sustainability, greener economy, and so on. On the other side, we go to a shop and we buy the nicest, the roundest, and the greenest apples. And you work with two different groups. So you work, Leila, mostly with students and companies on the other side. And you as well there with different stakeholders. I mean, how do you see between these different target groups? How big is the gap actually? How big is this gap between what do we think are the values and what we are actually really doing? I mean, are we taking the greener apple, or are we saying, okay, this one is not that beautiful, but you know, this was grown, you know, on the tree by neighbors? I mean, what do you think, Ladea? I will start with you because you just finished with this, like the citizenship, how to involve them.
I would say that we should be very honest that none of us is willing to change. Mainly, this is the characteristic of us human beings. So therefore, as long as you are in a way forced to do something, or if people are preaching a lot and convincing you what to do, you would resist. So this is one segment. The other is that we are picking solutions that are affordable and accessible. So if sustainable, green, and circular solutions are not more expensive than those, let's say, linear or regular ones, if I can find, for example, a shop without the packaging around the corner, not that I have to drive my car, I don't know, 20 kilometers, which is not sustainable neither, and so on and so on. So I think that we shouldn't be too critical, but to bring more understanding of the human nature. Therefore, I like what I do because it is really interdisciplinary. If you only have this economic view, you will never tackle the right point. Yeah. There is also sociology, anthropology, and everything, you know, so in the mixture of that. So what I'm trying with our team, what we're really trying, as I said at the beginning, to bring this closer to people and to somehow encourage them to experiment, to try, to feel good after that. So not that you're, oh, now I should move back to the cave, I shouldn't buy anything, you know, but really, wow, let's jointly explore this lifestyle. And once you start enjoying that, you wouldn't buy green apples because they do not taste good. Once you realize that that ugly apple has much better taste, yeah, you will look for that one, you know. And throughout these experiences, we also teach our kids who are not listening what we are saying, but who are observing what we are doing. So if you have this kind of habits, if these are your choices there, then there is a hope. And another thing that is important is what I always say, we are all humans. No matter what is on your business card, you know, you have the choice. And the more, I don't know, powerful the title on your business card is, more responsible you are when you are taking decisions to take right decisions, you know. But the same person who would maybe sign something what is against sustainability and this positive transformation would at night read the fairy tale to the daughter saying, oh, I would like to preserve this word for you, my dear little lady, you know. So this is so contradictory. So I would count on this humanity that is in us. And I hope that we will manage with this approach really to wake it up.
But Leila, let me continue with you. I mean, you're obviously working with the most motivated to do the transition. You work at the university where people, you know, consciously decided, okay, I want to study this. So this is what I want to do. This is something, this is my interest. I mean, you know what I mean? So you're privileged to work with the most motivated, but not everybody's at the university. Not everybody's like this, you know. Okay, what do you say about that? We need yours. Yeah.
what you're describing is this bubble in which I live, which forced me to go out of university and actually work with companies. So what am I trying to say? It's very easy to discuss on a morning coffee with Ladea how this world should change, express opinions and do, yes, exactly. That's what we should do because we're part of the same bubble. The challenge is how to persuade the ones who are not part of our bubble. Because even in our bubble, we find challenges. And even in our bubble, like Ladea said, it's about the convenience. It's about the availability of sustainable alternatives to you, etc. We can go on forever. And it is true that students are more motivated, but please don't get it wrong that the whole university community, academic community in general, including and the teachers, professors, staff, and students, is as motivated for sustainability that we are, that we're in the field. So what I'm trying to say, this discrepancy between awareness, people who are aware and people who are interested in the topic, versus people who have not come on board yet or they haven't dealt with the topic yet, is seen inside university too. So that goes also for students. I have students who come to my classes because I'm teaching all sorts of classes. So I'm not just having sustainability classes, thank God. So at least I leave my bubble. But I'm teaching also, I don't know, introduction to microeconomics. I'm teaching game theory. I'm teaching things that are very much part of linear economy and the old system. So there, if you take a look at the motivation of students there for sustainability, it is true that generationally, the percentage of people who are really interested actually in topics of sustainability is higher than before. But you also have the doubters or the ones who don't agree in the young generation. So what I would say that the difference between the two is how they inform themselves and how curious they are in general regarding the changes that are happening around us. And they're living in a world where information is relatively easy to reach right now. Even if you're not super interested into sustainability, sooner or later, you're going to come across sustainable development goals.
Yeah.
Whether you want or not, you're going to hear about them somewhere. The good thing about motivation is that they're interested, that they go into the topic. But this challenge of what you just mentioned, putting this interest and passion into practice in their everyday life stays. So we have a lot of conversation about the responsibility of consumers, the topic that Ladea beautifully opened, versus the responsibility of the producers at the end of the day. Because it's very, very easy to throw on the table of saying the consumers are the one who are irresponsible, because at the end of the day, they're making the non-sustainable choices anyways. Well, frankly, given the lifestyle we have in the current economic system and the amount of time we have available to actually make an informed choice, well, you take what's available, right? It touches me too. As a parent, as a working person, I have to make an unsustainable choice quite a lot of times, and I don't like it. But there are moments when I literally cannot avoid it. So the discussions that Ladea is having a lot of times at the level of policy making too, and what we are doing as suggestions for policy changes, those are the ones that we should tackle first, I believe. Because if you don't enlarge the possibilities of choosing a sustainable alternative, then you can't really demand that, neither from students, neither for consumers. So this is something I would like to throw out there that we absolutely need to discuss.
What was one of the facts, I did a workshop a while ago on one so high school, and there were 200 students there, and so the age between, let's say, 15 and 19. So I asked them if they know something about the circular economy. Like 90% of them never heard about this expression, which absolutely amazed me. I mean, we are discussing this all the time. But then I went to a bit of research and I started to speak with the chambers and so on. And I asked some people, let's say they are not like on the top positions and so on, but if they know something about circular economy, and most of them, they don't know what it is, or they think that if you have a trash, or let's say plastic, and then you recycle it, that this is circular economy and nothing else. So when I explained that there is a whole, like from design, from thinking, from data collecting, it's like it's really a circular economy. That means it covers all the products. I mean, all the stages. I mean, that the people are amazed. So this is what amazes me. And Ladea, you're talking about all the time about the circular economy. I mean, is this the right expression we are using? Because I had really good one set, what is the difference between the being circular or circular economy? The circular economy makes profit at the end of the day. It makes money. What do you think about that?
Yeah, first of all, as Lela said, we are in our small bubble, and when you are in a bubble, you think, oh, everyone is concerned about it. It is so obvious what circular economy is about and so on, but this is not a reality. And this, as you nicely described, if you would go to school, or if you would go to the managers association, or if you would go, I don't know where, you would be surprised how people still do not, how are not familiar with the definition.
Yes.
But once you start digging in and asking them, how do you produce something? What are you careful about or sensitive for? Or if you ask about habits, the citizens and so on, you would figure out that there are a lot of principles of circular economy embedded already. It is not just not named like or called circular economy. So, and if we would go 30 years ago, everything was very much aligned with the concept of circular economy. So I always say, let's not fight around definitions, because we will not get anywhere. Let's agree on that, what we want to jointly achieve, how we would like to live, and what are the values that we would like to nourish. And from here on, then comes circular economy. So, but I think it's always good just to use this simplified version, like in linear concept, you take, you use, and you throw away. So it just goes this way. While in circular, as you nicely pointed out, the most important is the first stage, the design. And first of all, to think, do we need this product, or can we use the service? That is the first question, because then we stop producing and overproducing things. And once we produce something, then we make it in a way that we can repair, refurbish, and at the very end recycle. So to maintain it for as long as possible. So this is this big difference. And now, unfortunately, we've got two crises. One was with COVID, and now we have the other one with the war. And what we see that in the business sector, what is happening? All of a sudden, they're very sensitive. Oh, this material we need. Where can we get it? We should wait 3 months before we get, I don't know, the shipping and so on. So they now think about that. Where is this material? Maybe I can source it from someone who is treating this as waste and so on. So we see how things are changing. But as I said, unfortunately, now out of the need and urge, not out of the choice. And I sincerely hope that it will not be the case with the food and everything, because this is the next stage now with Ukraine and everything. So we can be hungry if we do not start thinking in a sustainable way.
Now the next clue, the next fact. So the 44 billion for Twitter from Elon Musk is the same amount as the US intends. So they want to spend for the climate change. How serious are we? What were your thoughts about this, Lela? What do you think?
Let's start the debate from the right corner.
Okay.
This is not a solution that's going to be found with financing from public funds done. If we can stop with that, that's that. The transition and the money is in the private sector for the last 50 years. Why do I say that? You take a look at the research from Corporate Knights. They take a look at 100 most powerful economies in the world. Only 30 of those are countries. 70 of those are companies. Done deal. So putting that on the table is saying, how serious are we in the sense of there was a lot of noise about it also in media, right?
It was, yeah.
Exactly. So for me, on the other hand, is like, we're not talking budgets, guys. We're talking about the systemic shift in thinking, and the budget is the last that comes. And people sometimes laugh at me when I say that. But I'm like, if you don't change the way we're thinking, then what Ladea just commented happens. And I really want to go back to that point because it ties in beautifully into what we're speaking about right now. Now it's urgency, right, to find materials. But we're producing circular economy that's not sustainable. You're producing circular economy out of this urgency that is basically based on efficiency and continuing the linear way of producing just by getting the resources to continue that amount of production. Makes no sense. We are trying to solve the problem with the same way of thinking we created it. So that's why I say budgeted last in that sense of, yes, of course, we need support also for public funding. Of course, we need support for private sector. But the way we're putting the obligations and understanding what the rules of the game are is 10,000 times more important than the 44 billion that the US is putting for climate change. Just as curiosity, yesterday we were having dinner here in the light of the UNESCO Higher Education Conference, and people who have been working on the definition on sustainability in the Brundtland report in '87 were joining us, right? So Mr. was speaking about this change that we're doing in sustainability. He said, only now I can speak about things openly that I was speaking about 40 years ago. And we're in shock. He's like, we're not moving fast enough because only now I can actually open topics that people understand me, which we were advocating for 30 years ago. So the problem is in mentality and the way of thinking. And I don't believe that the budget is the one that we should tackle first. I think that this focus that also Europe has into redefining the rules of the game should be first. And the US definitely did not redefine the rules of the game. So the budget is not a surprise. That would be my 2 cents on that.
Lydia, would you like to add something on that?
Yeah, I would like to of course, I agree with Leila completely. And just today, we've got this discussion as well about Europe and green recovery and all the money that is available for this green recovery. And this is a trap because all of a sudden, there is a lot of money that should be used, not wisely invested, but used. And it is not, we have a lot of investments that are not green at all and that are not leading to a recovery at all because it's money is there and it's not an issue. There is too much money, not that we do not have enough. The distribution is questionable, but money is there. But what we are trying then is to spend this money on the projects that just to click it, like, oh, we are so successful. There was this fund for recovery and we managed to use it. No, it's not the answer. As Leila said, we should change the way we think, always have this systemic approach to see if we invest into something and do something good, what bad is happening at the same time on the other side. And it is not easy. And therefore, we should be even more patient with that, how we invest in this new way, you know, not that it is going on like always did, but really to stop and to think about that, where to put this money, what for, and what is long-term impact of that, what we are now supporting with this money. So this is lacking, and in Europe as well. So the money is not an issue, as Leila said. So we should discuss other stuff, not the money. Yeah.
Okay, let's discuss other stuff. Let's discuss about the climate conference, which was like what, a year ago in Scotland, and there was this huge change that made the game, that shifted the game. It was about the coal. So because in the contract it says that should phase out of coal. So this was like the phrase which was in the contract, and then it was changed into phase down. So phase out of coal to phase down the coal. So this is a huge change, a huge difference, which was pushed by, of course, the big one, the China and so on, because of the greenhouse gases. I mean, we say that the greenhouse gases are those gases that can absorb the heat energy emitted from Earth and then return it back to the Earth. The most significant ones, of course, are the carbon dioxide and nitrous oxide and methane and so more. And now China is the #1 country for emitting the highest amount of greenhouse gases, and then followed by the States. So they changed a climate conference at the end, this contract, which how to say, these commitments that they did, from phase out of coal to phase down of coal. And there is this, what bothers me personally is that there is this pressure. So this is the first fact I would like your, let's do it like this. So what do you think about that? Leila, let's start with you. What's your thought about that?
Leila, who was very frustrated there the second week, because I went the second week to get some commitments out. And I spent this whole second week at the conference, and I left it very disappointed. I understand the shift in terms of politics and economics. So let's start with being very objective. We cannot satisfy the energy demand we have globally or in Europe by phasing out completely coal right now. That's that. We haven't lowered our demand for energy. That's something we need to start with.
Yeah.
So we always start with saying, no, we should go renewables. Yes, but we have not changed our way of consumption yet. So you cannot deal with renewables to that extent yet. So I understand that part. What I don't understand is the political game that goes a bit further than what you just said, Vesna. So the political game goes like this. We go by saying, starting the week, by saying the new commitment is, we're going to phase out all the subsidies for the oil and gas industry and coal, etc. So we're phasing them out and we're saying there's no more subsidies. So at least stop fueling the same industry and make it be competitive on its own terms. If it's not competitive in its own terms, you're letting it in economic sense die out like any other company, right? And they have to figure out their own solutions. So that is an easier, smoother to a certain extent way of forcing the industry to adapt, because now we're actually double financing it from the governmental means. Basically, we're paying taxpayers for our own debt. What I wished for that this sentence would have been kept until the end of the second week. This sentence, 3 days before the conference ended, was translated into literally this: we are going to phase out all the inefficient subsidies that are helping the oil, gas, and coal. In economic terms, as an economist, I'm speaking right now, I can mark everything as efficient if I turn it around well. Meaning that factually, we did not insert any obligation in there, because in economic game, at the end of the day, I can make sure that everything that I'm doing sounds efficient from one point of view. So that was something that really disappointed me. I understand this need of understanding we're phasing out from something where we still need to tackle the demand. I do not understand the political game of saying efficient, inefficient subsidies. Either we are keeping them or we're getting rid of them, but it was a complete political game, because if you go back to economic science, that whole sentence, despite the fact it's in a legal document, makes absolutely no sense. So that was where it kind of hurt me, where I left Glasgow and I was just like, okay, this was really not okay. So just this last shift at the end, those are the games that I don't like seeing. I understand the reality and the urgency of putting it in objective frames of what we need to do. And I'm absolutely sure Ladea agrees with me, because there's much to do on balancing it out and scaling, understanding where we find ourselves, but not with these political games. So those would be my 2 cents, how I feel about what happened.
Amazing. Thank you for your inputs.
Yeah, and this is really with this language, you know, we talk a lot about that semantics and narrative and everything. And it is, if you would compare it with pregnancy, can you be half pregnant, or I don't know, how you are pregnant or you are not pregnant? I mean, you know, and then trying to find a way to express it so that nobody knows what it would mean. So it is really, I think, it's not time for this kind of playing games around. We should be much more transparent and open. And we can, as Leila said, we can say, yeah, we are in a deep shit because we don't know how to move on. And that would be much more honest, you know, than packaging it into something what I don't know what kind of benefit it brings, because you can always interpret, as you said, one way or another, and if you need efficiency and I don't know, positive results, you will find them. So that is set in a way. And another thing that Leila also pointed out is again, where are we putting the question? So the question is how to use less energy. You know, this is the first thing that we should address, coal or not coal. Oh, okay, this is then the second thing. And we are always, or most of the times, addressing a kind of the problem, but not what is causing the problem. So we are not healing the disease. We are just putting an aspirin or whatever to stop this headache. But this is not the way. And therefore, I'm very often, right now, to give an example of that, with the Chatham House from London, we are collaborating now on the initiative they're proposing for a global circular economy road mapping, for example, which is a great initiative, I think, because it is at least an ambition that we jointly have to figure out how to put this planet in a kind of a more, because we have this North Hemisphere that is polluter and the south one that is actually we're just abstracting and abusing them in a way, you know. But on the other hand, now to put this initiative on the agendas of already existing, I will not name them, global organizations, associations, and initiatives, it is a problem because everyone is somehow defending their space, you know. And instead of this radical collaboration that is needed, that we would say, oh, you're working on this, I'm working on that, jointly we can achieve something. No, we will protect our space. We will be still, I always say, not transparent enough, and in a way competitive. And that is how we are addressing issues. And it is whether it is energy and coal, or it is food or biodiversity, you will always find this same pattern. So that is what makes me not sad, but I really think that there is no more time for these games, you know. So that would be, yeah, my feeling.
Do you think that, I mean, already like years ago, there was this pressure on individual, like we have to change our habits and so on and so on. So, but as you said, the biggest problem is actually the energy. I mean, here is I guess the start of the whole process. So is it fair that on one side that the individual is like, from a PR perspective, like we are under such a pressure, we have to do this, we have to, I don't know, we have to use trains more, we have to recycle, we have to do this and this and this, but this is just like a small drop into the ocean, or would you disagree?
Yeah,
I would disagree.
Sorry.
Can I go, please?
Yeah, go.
I've been lecturing on this now for years. I think when I started with a narrative that I changed in my way towards here. Why do I say that? At the beginning, I was like, yeah, maybe, you know, it's pretty unfair also to the consumers to put so much responsibility on them. And then I stopped and think, is this really a lot of responsibility? We're trying to shift the system. If I can't make you separate right now the trash, and at the end of the day, if we're completely honest, I am well aware that 2% of the plastic you just throw in the separate container can be recycled. I am aware of the other side, but we're trying to create a systemic change that influences also your personal habits. So once we're going to be able to recycle more of that plastic, and the producers are going to be producing something that I don't need to separate one from another, you as a consumer or me, we are ready already. So I started with the narrative of saying, yeah, no, that's just a drop in the ocean. It doesn't help, by understanding that drop on the ocean has another aspect that can actually help me in 5 years' time when the industry is ready. So here I would say, yes, it makes sense because it puts your focus where it's supposed to be. And once your focus and the focus of your children is well adapted already, when the industry is ready, this works as a system. So that would be the way I think right now. I might change my opinion in 3 years, but this is how I feel right now.
Ledaya, you wanted to say something as well?
What I like about this message that Lela shared is that we can change our opinion, because we are in this learning process and there is nothing wrong. And people are so stigmatized and stuck to their opinion, because once they said something, now until the very end of their life, they will repeat the same thing. No, we think something and then we learn something and think something else, and that's perfect. So I'm also on this journey, and I'm wondering, and I agree with this part absolutely, that we lost, now I'm talking about so-called developed world, we lost this sense of community, the sense of interdependency, the sense of interconnectivity. Once you understand that, and this is the system, then you also understand what Lela said, that every single action counts, because there is a sum of these actions at the end of the day. So I think it is important how we behave. But what I disagree with is the way how we as citizens are addressed, because this is the same as with the health issue. All of a sudden, you are responsible 100% for your health. So you should be fit, you should perform 24/7.
Zero zucker.
Healthy, you know, yeah. So it is all on you as a single individual. No, because it is not, I'm part of this system. So how I feel is also related to what I eat, with whom I spend time, and these are conditions that we jointly create. And it is happening now the same, you know, with this sustainability in a way, and with this pressure. But as once you start understanding this unitedness and this system in a way, in a beautiful way, then it cannot be the case. So therefore, I think it's so important that we talk like we do today, and that we ask simple questions, and also do simple exercises. Like, for example, I put it when COVID started, I said, what is now more important, the digital aspect or the human one? So if I have no food at home, what would help me? Smart refrigerator or a good neighbor? So I would go for a good neighbor.
I would go as well.
So these are the situations that are then bringing us back to that, what really counts and how to navigate throughout these challenging times. Yeah.
For the end, I would like to ask you something about the new generation which is coming, because we have to focus on them. This is Generation Z, which is absolutely different than we are. I'm in another generation already. I don't understand TikTok. I don't understand NFTs and so on. For me, this is really like something so out of the bloom, somewhere in the cloud. And so, but the Generation Z is aware of the climate change. They're active. I mean, they say it out loud. We want to change, don't destroy our future. What amazed me is there was I don't know, on YouTube or somewhere, I watched this interview with about the climate change and how the Generation Z is tackling this. And in HR is also a shift, because the HR departments are being asked, what do you do for the sustainability? Is your company, does they have a strategy on sustainability? How do you use circular economy, stuff like that? So there are this new expression which HR is absolutely afraid of, because it's something completely new, but they are asking that because the younger generation, so this Generation Z, I think they would like to make a change, and this makes me really positive. Leila, how do you see that? I mean, do they ask stuff like that? I mean, what are the new green jobs, or I don't know, opportunities that the new generation wants?
We're in a systemic transition. Let's start with that. So regarding the jobs, that's a bit of a different topic than how the new generations is. Let me just try to comment first on what I observe with the students, but then also with with my kid and her friends who are very young. They're 5 years old. This generation was born with a different and all of a sudden you have nobody's teaching them that. I don't know how to explain, but it's really bizarre because they all share the same community feeling of saying, stop buying flowers, we're buying too many flowers, we're killing all the flowers. And you're looking at them and you're like, we never spoke about that. In school, they don't speak about that. So a friend of a kid of mine comes and says that 2 days ago, and me and her mom, we go, she's so right.
Oh my God.
Yes, but little things, what I'm trying to say, they were born with some kind of awareness that I don't know how to comment. And that's the youngest generation. Then you have a bit older that come to the university with 18 years old, for instance, to me, and they already have this pushback attitude towards the system that they don't like. The HR has a huge problem with getting our students out of our university, and the students are choosing their jobs, saying my life is more worth than those I don't know how many thousands and those hours that you're working and the privilege or prestige of having a title. So no, I'm leaving. There's a lot of turnover happening now in companies that are not expecting. And we speak to the companies about that because the turnover is very big. But then on the third hand, I also have students that are of older generation. So they come back and they do our postgraduate course on sustainability transition because they need it for their jobs. So all of a sudden their jobs, which they already have, require the aspect of sustainability because they're going to be kind of restructured and they're going to need to know how to carry it out in their organization. And these people, it's true that usually the people who are passionate about it personally are the ones determined in their departments to do so. So they come back to me already motivated. But it's a different mindset, and you can see them struggling with the new way of systemic thinking that Ladea keeps repeating how important it is. And I have to work on what my kid and her friends were born with to put it as a system of values in the students that are coming back to me. It is beautiful to see the difference, but I'm very grateful that we have actually generations who are coming to teach us, and we're supposed to be professionals in the field. So I have a lot of hope for what is coming, but I share Ladea's concern about the urgency and timeline that we have. So they will be able to speed it up and accelerate it once they're there, if we manage to carry out the main transition right now as the generation that we are. So let's hope for the best, but there's a lot of hope in that generation. I just hope that ours wakes up too.
Yeah, let's hope so.
Yeah.
I want to comment on that.
I would say, we are different as we were in our generation, now even in this generation. And again, we are moving in certain bubbles, you know. And also I have 3 kids, and 2 of them are grown-ups and completely in a way as Lela described. So they are freelancers. They don't even think to commit that someone would do, and they're very sensitive for good life in a way, in a sustainable way. So they have no need to own a car. I mean, this possession, that is something what is not on the agenda and so on. They're very sensitive for food. They say what we need is a kitchen and an opportunity to buy good food and things like that. So I'm observing them, and I'm learning a lot from them, how they value and the time and the other resources, and how they create this lifestyle. So, but even when I talk to them, they say, yeah, but not everyone is like that. First of all, it is also not only about education, but also it comes from the family, you know.
It comes, yes.
If you are supported in a way that do your choices, trust yourself, follow the instinct, go with the flow, you know, and that you are not as a child already in a situation when these expectations, who should you become, which job to get, what kind of salary to have, you know, if this is not the case, then they can be what they have, as Lela said, in themselves, and then they flourish. But if we start with these patterns and putting them into the box, then we kill them. So I think it's very important how we as parents behave, how the educational system is organized. And now we also have, because I'm in a few bodies where we discuss the education and the transfer of knowledge. And for this circular economy and the topic of sustainability, what I believe is that there is no teaching. This is co-creation of new knowledge. And once you step down as a professor or a teacher or a consultant, whoever you are, and you start exchanging, then new things can happen. Because as long as you think that you have the answers, you are again on the wrong way. So this is where I see also a great playground for merging what we have. Again, I will go to this north and south, because for indigenous people and those who live primitive lives, we can learn so much about that, how to live sustainable lives. And the game is over. It's not that we will bring the knowledge to them, but I would watch out what we can bring from them into our so-called developed civilization and to find this right balance. So I think that this is the biggest challenge we have, and with this intellectual capacity, you know, and with this, I don't know, once you get fixed too much in all these concepts, and so you lose this sensitivity. And this is what I guess these kids have, or not only sensitivity, but it is in them. So yeah,
I would say this, like, back to the basics. I remember I'm from Bochum, so this is like, I lived in a national park. So I remember we had like a yellow trash kibble, you know, it was like this big, you know. I remember maybe it was full in a week, you know. So now we have 2 this big ones in our kitchen, and they're full every day. I mean, amazing. But we cannot save the world. But thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you so much for discussing and being critical and discussing this with me. I hope we will have many viewers, because you made such an amazing statements today. So at the beginning, I've introduced you like Dr. Leila Melon, University in Sondern, and Ladaya, like so. How would you really present yourself at the end without titles and so on, with 2-3 sentences? Leila, will you start?
A dreamer and an eternal optimist.
Oh my God.
Great. That's it. That's never going to change. So the numbers are going to change every birthday, but that's going to stay, I think.
Great.
And I think I put a lot of it in what I do, and let's hope that we continue doing so.
Thumbs up. You, Ladaya.
Yeah, I'm an enthusiast and someone who is passionate in connecting people. I cannot stop doing that. And on the other hand, I'm also a hedonist, you know, but in that sense that I would like to preserve everything what is nice, beautiful, and really pass this to the next generations. Because as I said, as a mother of 3 kids, I really wish them and all the others on this planet all the best.
I wish all of us all the best, and thank you for this talk. Let's walk the talk. let's be active. I think I hope to see you soon in live. I hope to see you soon in some conference in Slovenia or maybe here in Austria. I think we need to share this information. I think we have to discuss it, and then the change will maybe come. There are some new opportunities coming at the end of the year with the new EU Interact projects. I'm so looking forward to them because I want to do a project which will include circular economy in this region, because I think that its region itself, I know, Leila, you're in Spain and so on, so you're far away from our region, but I still have these high hopes for this Alpe Adria region. And there are some really strong minds, some really strong women who are active here. And Leila, with your support coming to our region back, you know, and us, Ladea, networking and connecting the dots. So thank you so much. Thank you, and see you soon. Let's follow. I will follow you anyway on LinkedIn, and yeah,
Thank you so much for inviting us. Thank you for having us.
Thanks a lot, and looking forward to what is about to emerge.
Exactly.
Bye, and all the best.
Bye.
Bye.